Well, it took 3 albums into 2023 before I found one that I didn't necessarily enjoy, but it's not bad. Pierce the Veil returned for the first time in 7 years, I believe it is. They usually, take quite a bit in between their records, but never this long. So, this was also kind of a big deal, and they were known back in the day in the emo scene, kind of pop-punkish route that they were taking, and from the songs that I was hearing from this record, it kind of seemed like they weren't necessarily shying away from it, but they were experimenting a lot more, especially with more pop-leaning elements, as it always seemed like they had a formula that they stuck to, but this time around, they decided to change it with their new album, Jaws of Life. I can say it is probably their most ambitious project to date, as, again, this features more pop elements and isn't really even pop-punk anymore. It kind of still keeps the emo thing going, but it's, well, I mean, all I can say with this record is there are some favorites here, like Past the Nirvana. That was the first single we got from the record, and I really liked the way it mixed things up and worked very, very well. Songs like Flawless Execution, The Jaws of Life, and Damn the Man, Save the Empire really show you Vic's vocals in a different way that I don't think we've ever heard before. Plus, I think these are the most energetic and least boring songs on the record. Not that these ones were boring, but the theme of this record is there was good intentions, but for the most part, a lot of these songs never picked up. That's where the problem lies when we get to the okay songs. Death of an Executioner. This was the album kickoff, and an album kickoff, the job of it is supposed to get you reeled in and ready for what's to come. It's supposed to keep you attached, but getting through that song, it was definitely hard. It did, have its moments and places that were really good, but for the most part, I feel like as an album opener, it was kind of weak. Emergency Contact was the second and final single that I heard from the record before obviously this album came out, and it's your typical Pierce the Veil song, I guess. Like, nothing was super unusual, but I don't know, it just didn't really hit me as much, I guess. Then we have So Far, So Fake, which again, I feel like is one of those ones where toward the end it gets really good, but that's about it for the most part. Then when we get to my least favorite, we have Even When I'm Not With You, Resilience, Shared Trauma, and 12 Fractures. They all kind of get into the category of they're just plain boring and don't do a lot. Like, I like the fact that Pierce the Veil wanted to do different things, and heck, Vic even does a lot of things different with his vocals other than just the, high-pitched whining that he was doing back in the day, so I can commend him for that, but at least give me something structured with these songs. I mean, a lot of these were backed by a generic beat, and just the instrumentation always felt weak in a lot of places, and even when some of these songs did pick up, it was too little too late at that point. The song 12 Fractures features Chloe Moriando, and she doesn't really show up that much. She's kind of like there, a blip, and then that's it, and she doesn't add much to the song, and this is also the song that finishes the album off, which I guess for an album closer does its job. It's softer, as album, closers usually are, but it wasn't necessarily great to begin with. So with Pierce the Veil, it was definitely I guess, not necessarily unimpressive comeback, but very underwhelming to say the least. Even though I wasn't the biggest Pierce the Veil fan, I've known enough, and I, obviously had friends that listened to this band that I heard them, pretty much throughout my time when I was going through my quote-unquote emo phase and all that. And I can say that they've been more enjoyable in the past, whereas this record, I don't know, it just feels like a lot of filler tracks to go around 2 singles that were, pretty good, but nothing spectacular in the end. So overall, I'm going to give this album a 5 out of 10. It's not on the, terrible side, but it's also not one that I would call great or passable either. It's just kind of like, meh, and that's where I will leave my review. You can tell me in the comments below what did you think of this record if you heard it, what were your favorite songs and your least favorite songs from this record, and was this album worth the wait? But until then, stay safe out there, and I will catch you all in the next one.